coming up on Full Sail Live. The top 3 NBA players that deserve serious MVP consideration. Also, the NFL draft is 7 days away, and I have a couple of prospects that you might want your favorite team to take a serious look at in the first round. Finally, the anticipation is building for an NL West matchup in the major leagues that baseball fans have been waiting for since the offseason. I'm Alphonso Jr., and I have some interesting takes that you may or may not agree with. However, I stand firm on believing that the MVP award should be given to the most valuable player to their team, not the best player on the best team. With that being said, my MVP is not James Harden, LeBron James, or even Nikola Jokic. Without my MVP candidates, their respective teams quite simply would not be anywhere near relevancy. My first MVP candidate is Julius Randle. Julius Randle has been a force for the New York Knicks this season, averaging 23.7 points per game and 10.5 rebounds while shooting 40% from the three-point line. Randle has the Knicks sitting pretty in the 4th spot in the Eastern Conference and on an 8-game winning streak. The Knicks are a team that has seen little to no success since their last finals appearance in 1999. Randle is leading the charge for a team that has the 4th youngest roster in the NBA. For a team that lacks in veteran leadership, Randle has more than made up for it, and with only 12 games remaining, he has the New York Knicks in line for its first playoff appearance in 8 years. My next MVP candidate is Phoenix Suns point guard Chris Paul. After leaving his positive imprint on Los Angeles Clippers, the Houston Rockets, and the Oklahoma City Thunder, Chris Paul is at it again, vastly improving yet another team. The foundation was laid with the acquisition of head coach Monty Williams, but the veteran leadership and all-star play of Chris Paul has taken a team that was unable to make the playoffs, even with an undefeated bubble appearance last season, and transformed them into a 42-16 second-place team in the Western Conference. While he is only averaging 15.7 points per game, his impact on Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and the rest of this young Sun squad cannot be denied. My final MVP candidate should not be disputed by anyone. The Golden State Warriors are not the same team as they were during their dynasty. However, one consistent has remained. The greatest shooter God ever made, and my third MVP candidate, Steph Curry. We know about the 31.1 points per game, which is first in the league, by the way. We knew he'd shoot over 40% from three-point range. All of these things, while impressive, are not the biggest sellers on why Curry should be MVP. Rather, it should be what he has to work with. Curry lost his running mate Klay Thompson to a season-ending ACL injury and James Wiseman to a torn meniscus. Meanwhile, Curry has the Warriors sitting in the 9th spot in the West currently. Almost the same team that was dead last in the standings during Curry's missed 2020 season. Curry is also confident about his MVP candidacy.
Real quick, are you the MVP this year?
I mean, I gotta be.
Okay, all right.
I probably won't get it, but I mean, whatever.
No, don't say that.
Keep going like this, that nobody will be able to.
I'm just
you keep this going.
I like to be dramatic sometimes.
Curry looks to continue his stellar end to this season and propel the Warriors back into the playoffs. Golden State sits about a game back from the 8th spot in the West behind the Memphis Grizzlies. And with the new rules for the play-in tournament, the Warriors are on pace to achieve their goal of a playoff berth. Steph, for what it's worth, you are my MVP this season. Coming up after the break, with the draft coming up soon, who are the sleeper picks you should want your team to take in the early rounds of this year's NFL draft? We'll be right back on Full Sail Live. One of the most star-studded NFL drafts in recent memory is upon us. From sure #1 pick Trevor Lawrence, to Jamar Chase, to Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith, and more. This draft is one that could have every team going into training camp happy with their selections this season. But what's better than scoring an obvious star in the draft? Drafting a sleeper. I have 2 for you that you should want your team to select in the early rounds. First up is my favorite receiver in this draft class, Rondale Moore out of Purdue. One man's trash can be another man's treasure. Rondale Moore ran an unofficial 4.29 40-yard dash at his pro day, along with a remarkable 42.5-inch vertical. standing at only 5'9". There were concerns about his height and injury history. However, his highlight tapes show that his versatility as a receiver and a returnman can immediately improve a team in need of help at the wideout position. Rondell Moore took a moment to speak to the media about his amazing, attention-grabbing
I think
pro day.
for me, most importantly, it was to show that I am healthy, I have the ability and the capabilities to go outside and run routes. So more importantly than the times or the vertical or whatever, just going out there and run routes.
My next sleeper pick is someone who has flown under the radar because he sat out most of the 2020 season with an injury. However, Pat Freiermuth holds the record at Penn State for most touchdown catches by a tight end. It's no surprise either. Freiermuth was the 2020 Quallick Clark Big Ten Tight End of the Year. Prior to his injury, Freiermuth led all FBS tight ends with 5.8 receptions per game and ranked 5th, averaging 77.5 receiving yards per game. For teams in need of a physical, sure-handed tight end, look no further than the greatest player to ever play the position at the great Penn State University. I'm extremely intrigued to see where those two wind up when the draft is done. Coming up, the series that has MLB fans everywhere chomping at the bit, we preview the LA Dodgers and their potential new rival, the San Diego Padres. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Full Sail Live.